Our voices.
Our stories.
Our community.
The rolling hills of central Alberta are a hub for cattle production as well as oil, gas, and agriculture distribution. Red Deer, the largest city in the region, is home to the Alberta Sports Hall of Fame and the Green Onion, the name affectionately given to the city's water tower, which when built in 1957 was the tallest in North America. Red Deer is also home to the Lending Cupboard, a one-of-a-kind charitable organization that provides medical mobility equipment to anyone that needs it.
The Lending Cupboard has helped out literally thousands of people in central Alberta.
Accepting that I needed help and accepting that there was a place to go where they were helpful.
It was the best thing that ever happened.
We welcome all of you as we celebrate this brand new space.
Government officials, board members, volunteers, clientele, and the media have gathered to celebrate the grand opening of their new home.
Obviously a very special day for the Lending Cupboard and for Central Alberta.
Lloyd Lewis, business owner and sponsor, is master of ceremonies.
Now I'll call up MLA for Red Deer North, Kim Schreiner, who will bring greetings on behalf of the province of Alberta.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the grand reopening of our legacy Lending Cupboard. Today we celebrate our community's response to the great need that the Lending Cupboard answers to those in need within our fantastic city of Red Deer and the surrounding central Albertan communities.
Kim Schreiner isn't here just on behalf of the government of Alberta. She's also here as a daughter of a very stubborn mother turned client, Dolores Bork.
I don't need one. I'm not going to get one. And when my kids told me, Mom, if you want to go out there and walk, you need a walker. So Kim brought me to the Lending Cupboard and I got it and it saved my life. Well, I'll tell you, I was out walking all the time. Without it, I wouldn't have been able to.
It's just a very easy process. It was a matter of just bringing my mom here if she was able, and there was people that met her at the door, and we sat down, they asked a few questions, and then they fitted her for the equipment that she needed, and we just walked out the door with the equipment for the length of time that she needed it.
The city is so very proud to support this worthy endeavor with all of you today.
On hand are members of Red Deer City Council and Mayor Tara Veer.
As we all know, health adversities do not discriminate, and the Lending Cupboard ensures that our local services do not either, by ensuring that dignified and compassionate provision for all and for those who might otherwise find themselves in an inequitable position. And we thank you for your past 12 years of exceptional service, and we wish you all the best in the years to come. Thank you very much.
With scissors in hand, Donna Moray, the Lending Cupboard's executive director, cuts the ribbon, officially opening their new home.
Congratulations. The Lending Cupboard is a unique gem in central Alberta that just provides such incredible supports to families, to individuals that are in need of medical equipment. And it speaks to not just that simple piece of equipment, the wheelchair, the crutches, the bed rail, whatever it may be. It speaks to allowing people to continue to have mobility and dignity and independence.
It was the best thing that ever happened to me. I still make sure anybody I know of that needs anything, can't afford it, or for a specific time, I tell them there's such a thing as a Lending Cupboard.
Started in 2006 with a vision by its founder, Jackie Joyce, who saw a need for medical equipment so that people could continue to care for loved ones in their homes when they couldn't afford the equipment themselves or couldn't find access to the equipment themselves. And so from that vision that she had, out of her own personal experience of taking care of her husband, who at that time was terminal with cancer, she started collecting medical equipment. And in 2006, it was formed as a registered nonprofit, and in that very first year helped about 456 people.
Over 10,000 Albertans used the lending cupboard in 2017, a testament to how important this service is to the community and how supportive the community is of this service.
We'd like to present a check of $25,000 to go toward the lending cupboard.
Donations like this one from Service Credit Union and a $97,000 grant from the provincial government helps make Bradley Williams' job a little easier. As chairman of the Lending Cupboard's capital campaign, he's bestowed with the not-so-easy task of acquiring funding.
As the chair of the capital campaign, I'm starting to kind of feel like the Amway salesman. Everybody ducks me when they see me because they know I'm looking for cash. We're currently about halfway to our goal at this point. Our goal was $500,000 to get here and get things done and to get our facility open.
We've grown, so from that 3,500 square feet in our original storefront facility to this location where we have 6,200 square feet. It was a bare shell, so it needed to have some leasehold improvements done to it. And so we launched a capital campaign to help us do that.
Paid part-time employees are also required, from reception and administration to database coordinator Kathy Cole. After all, someone has to keep track of over 9,000 pieces of equipment. And volunteer coordinator Wendy Reimer, she's in charge of scheduling the 70 to 80 men and women who give of their time and talents.
The volunteers are the backbone of the organization. We clearly wouldn't exist if it weren't for the volunteers. Last year we had 11,000 hours of volunteerism contributed to this organization. Because from the very time that you come into the building, you're greeted by volunteers. The volunteers help you find the equipment that you need. They take you through the process of registering you in our system. They take you through the whole process of understanding the equipment that you're using as well. And we assure that the volunteers are trained in a manner that they know how to fit certain pieces of equipment that require that, and that they know how to work with the client so they understand how to use it appropriately as well. And when a client is returning the equipment, again, it's a volunteer that's going to take that equipment back, re-enter it back into our system and make sure that it's ready to go on to our sanitizing end of things. And in our sanitizing end, we have a group of volunteers that are cleaning sometimes some equipment that's gone through some rough time, and so it needs some heavy scrubbing, and then finally goes into a sanitizing machine that at a very high pressure will eliminate any bacteria and anything that could impact it, the next user. It then has to go through where it's examined to make sure that it's in good working order. And if it does need to have some repairs done to it or some adjustments, it'll go into our repair shop, where once again, we have a group of volunteers that will do that.
People like retired RCMP officer John West.
My wife required some aids when she had an operation. So I came in here and got them. I thought, well, I guess I'd like to do this, maybe fix things, and that's what happened. I just learned on the job.
And 12 years later, why does he continue to volunteer?
Doesn't do you any good sitting at home on your ass and doing nothing.
Good advice. A van is also used to pick up and deliver equipment as necessary. This is a huge benefit for those who are unable to make the trek to Red Deer themselves.
We thank you very much for joining us today and sharing this new chapter in the Lending Cupboard story.
Next, we meet 4-year-old Ethan Isley, whose connection to the Lending Cupboard is picture perfect.
They asked if they could start using some pictures of Ethan with his walker to be on their fundraising flyers and their posters and that sort of thing. And we were more than happy to help.
Our community will return after the break.
We now return to our community.
Only in Drumheller would you find a dinosaur perched on the roof of a building. It's not out of place, though, when you consider Drumheller, Alberta is home to the Royal Tyrrell Museum, Canada's only museum dedicated exclusively to the science of paleontology. and the Badlands of East Central Alberta are internationally recognized for their rich abundance of dinosaur fossils. In fact, the area is recognized as the dinosaur capital of the world. Drumheller is also home to the Isley family, including 4-year-old Ethan and mom Nikki.
Okay, pick up the bat.
With mom lining up the pitch, Ethan squares himself, raises his bat.
Ready? Oh, good hit.
And hits the bouncy ball out of the park. Well, out of the front yard anyway. There was a time, though, for Nikki when the thought of Ethan playing baseball was unlikely.
We found out when I was 20 weeks pregnant that he had spina bifida.
Good hit.
Spina bifida is a congenital birth defect in which part of the spinal cord and nerves are exposed through a gap in the backbone.
They actually gave us the option of going down to Philadelphia to do fetal surgery. So we were able to do that at 23 weeks pregnant. They went in and closed his little back, the hole in his back there. When he was 2, we started him on a standing frame, and he started to develop a little bit of strength in his legs, so we wanted to move on to the next step, which was a walker. We requested one from the government, and we were told it would be about a 6-month wait to get through all the paperwork and the waiting for the approval process and everything. But Ethan wasn't willing to wait 6 months to get moving. He's an active little boy and he wanted to get on the move. So someone actually told us about the lending cupboard and said to call them and see if they had a pediatric walker. So I gave them a call and they said, yep, we have, and it was actually the exact same one we had ordered through the government that we're waiting for, 6 months for. So we drove up to the lending cupboard and got this walker, and Ethan took to it right away, right in the store. He's running around and it took him no time at all to figure it out.
Come on, let's go see the dinosaur.
With medical equipment, it's very expensive. And so to wait 6 months for a walker, we wouldn't have been willing to do that for Ethan's sake, to get him up and moving. So we would have had to purchase that equipment ourselves. And that's a big expense. It's thousands of dollars to purchase equipment. So the lending cupboard being able to fill that gap for us with no cost to us was huge. That's a big financial burden off of us.
That's not the right yard. It's up here.
Our community is very supportive. They love Ethan. A lot of them know Ethan through our Facebook page and through just us being involved at the school and church and different places. So people have really wanted to learn about him.
Do you want me to lift you up? You can touch his mouth. Is that his teeth?
Where else but Drumheller would you find a dinosaur in a neighbor's front yard?
Does he have a name? Is his name Dino?
It's good for people to see adults and elderly people using this medical equipment, but sometimes people forget that there are kids out there too that need all this stuff as well, and so it's cool just to add that extra piece of information for people to see, another way for them to be motivated to support. When we were working with the lending cupboard and using their walker, they asked if they could start using some pictures of Ethan with his walker to be on their fundraising flyers and their posters and that sort of thing. And we were more than happy to help because it's a great organization and it's worth supporting for sure. When he saw the poster at the lending cupboard yesterday, he did say, "That's my walker and that's me, Ethan." But that's the first time he's acknowledged that or said that was him. So I think he knows now. He seemed to think it was pretty cool. He uses a wheelchair for long distance. And while we were waiting for the government to do his custom wheelchair and do the application, we did borrow a wheelchair temporarily from the lending cupboard as well, because they did have a pediatric wheelchair. And as he grows, he's going to need bigger wheelchairs, and we're going to have to go through the same application process and the same waiting period. So, I mean, we'll continue using the lending cupboard as it comes up and as we need bigger equipment or different equipment. I am definitely an advocate for accessibility and inclusivity. there was no playgrounds in town that didn't have a gravel surface. And so when I found out they were renovating the playground at the school, I right away got involved and said, we can't do gravel, we need an accessible surface. It was really cool to watch the community come together and see the need for accessibility. And Ethan isn't the only kid in town with a disability or who uses a wheelchair or a walker. So the community has been really good about seeing that and acknowledging the importance of needing the accessibility for these kids. I'm tired. Yeah. You're tired? He's kind of a bit of a beacon in this community, it seems like. He's encouraging to a lot of people because they've followed us right from the beginning and they're seeing him, you know, start school today and stuff like that. It's exciting to watch this little boy grow up that you didn't know what he was going to be able to do.
Next, we meet longtime supporters of the Lending Cupboard, Lynn and Brian Wilson. Stay with us.
Our community will return after the break.
We now return to our community.
Good morning, honey. How are you?
Good.
Good.
Need my coffee.
All right. Well, let me put it on. Get that part going, then I'll get you some cereal if you want.
Oh, yes, please.
Over breakfast, Lynn and Brian Wilson prepare for their day. Brian's a successful real estate agent.
Are you working today?
Yeah, I got an appointment in about half an hour.
Lynn, retired from a career in administration, spends part of her time as an ambassador for the Lending Cupboard's Capital Program.
I'm a person who has personal experience using the equipment and being supported by the people at the Lending Cupboard. And I am to be a spokesperson for somebody that uses their support.
Today, Lynn lives with primary progressive MS and uses a wheelchair or rolling walker for stability and mobility. Her and Brian's affiliation with the Lending Cupboard began long before Lynn ever needed their services.
A friend of ours came up with the idea of the Lending Cupboard.
I found out about the Lending Cupboard through Jackie Joyce, who's a person I'd known through some other affiliations in Red Deer. The way it started off is we were planning for a hospice, and we have a really good hospice in Red Deer. And she came to me and she said, how about if we put a Lending Cupboard attached to or within the hospice? And as the more we talked about it, it became impractical. So it became a standalone operation of its own, and that's how I became involved with it. I was one of the original board members.
I'd been in the Lending Cupboard before as a volunteer, signing things out to other people. But then when I was on the other side of the table, so to speak, where I needed it, it was comforting to know these people and to know how kind they are there and how helpful, while I dealt with my own feelings around being needy. Really, it's about accessibility. The government has programs, and our healthcare have programs to get equipment, but there's a lot of red tape. And sometimes people are waiting. For example, I do have a wheelchair now, and it took 3 months to get it. For me, that wasn't a problem. I could borrow a wheelchair from the Lending Cupboard when I needed it, and then my wheelchair came and now I've got one. But there are people that are desperately in need of a wheelchair right now, and they are stuck until they get it. Now, with the Lending Cupboard service, it's a bridge, I would call it, a bridge to medical equipment that the government supplies. But governments don't move quickly.
This is echoed by the chair of the Lending Cupboard's Capital Campaign, Bradley Williams.
I think as our government has pulled back on a lot of the funding and a lot of things that have been available, you know, if you were to look at our demographic, we deal primarily with older people, but also those who are economically challenged is a very large part of the component that we deal with. And without us, these would be people who would struggle financially in a big way, in many cases, to get a piece of equipment that they need to live their daily lives. So they can come here, and for, we have a $10 processing fee. They pay that fee, and then they get the equipment basically for as long as they need it. We check up on them from time to time, make sure that they are still using it. And if they are, we leave that equipment with them. We can help them and point them in the direction of where they can go through the government to try to get funding. If they need a new wheelchair or a rollator or whatever it may be. But we really try to fill that gap that people otherwise can't get equipment.
The more people that quit being stubborn and use the equipment that keeps them safe, and I can walk down to the store because I've got my walker. If I didn't have it, I would be stuck here.
My wife required a cane to start off with and some other medical equipment from time to time. And as I start talking about it and looking around, I know lots of people who've utilized it for either themselves, family members, visiting members. A lot of reasons people would require that equipment for short, medium, or long term.
It's really about giving people the ability to be mobile and providing dignity. And for the older people, a big part of it is allowing them to age in place so that they're not, they're not having to move into a senior's home or an old folks home. It may happen at some point, but we're able to extend those timelines for people and help them get the best out of the years that they have in their life. So it's, it's really about reaching out to the community and being able to provide that equipment for them.
Service users and staff know the benefits of this important endeavor.
We are certainly by far the largest. I think that speaks to the community. I think that speaks to Central Albertans who recognize the value of it and have continued to support it all these years.
Anyone needing any type of support, a walker, stools, or handles on their shower like I needed, get out. I didn't want it. I didn't want anything to do with it. But you know what? I needed it, and I think you people out there that need this, come on, get on it. You don't have to maybe use it that long.
Accepting that I needed help and accepting that there was a place to go where they were helpful and that I could get this equipment while I needed it and then give it back, and it was easy.
We dealt with roughly 10,000 people last year. Our estimate is that this facility should last us on today's projections for about 7 years, and then we're going to have to move again, either take over more space next door or look for a new building that's bigger, because it's just, the need is growing and the government continues to reduce funding wherever they can. So it's going to fall to agencies like us to be able to help the community and help the people within it to be able to, in this case, to be able to be mobile and live as productive lives as we can help to provide for them.
It's a great organization and it's worth supporting.
And with the help of the Lending Cupboard, many more Central Albertans like Ethan will continue to gain mobility and independence, even if it's just to visit the neighborhood dinosaur. Producers Tim Tester, Linda Blackwell. Videographer Tim Tester. Editors Tim Tester, Sebastian McKenzie. Audio post Mark Phoenix. Integrated Describe Video Specialist Emily Harding. Narrator Jim Van Horn. Special thanks to Lending Cupboard. Graphics Mike Smith. Regional Content Specialist Jim Crisco. Senior Producer Jennifer Johnson. Production Supervisor Janice Evitelli. Director Production Karen I. Director Programming Brian Perdue. Vice President Programming and Production John Melville. President and CEO David Arrington. Copyright 2018 Accessible Media Inc.